Everyone thought the United States would enjoy the party. Nobody thought they might steal it. Because before the World Cup began, the conversation around America was familiar. Good team, talented players, strong support, but not a real threat. Not compared to the giants. Not compared to the countries that have spent decades lifting trophies. The United States was supposed to host the tournament, not dominate it. But after just 2 matches, something has changed. And the rest of the football world is starting to notice. Because this story isn't about 2 wins. It's about a warning. And it started on opening night. The stadium was packed. The pressure was enormous. Millions watching. An entire country waiting. And standing across from them was Paraguay. A team nobody expected to roll over. A team capable of turning opening night dreams into opening night disasters. For years, this was exactly the type of match that made American fans nervous. Too much pressure. Too many expectations. Too much history. One mistake, and the tournament starts with doubt. But what happened next shocked almost everyone. The United States didn't survive. They attacked, wave after wave, again and again and again. Paraguay couldn't slow them down, couldn't stop the momentum, couldn't stop the crowd from believing. By the time the final whistle arrived, the scoreboard showed 4-1. But the score wasn't the most important part. The feeling was. Because for the first time in years, America didn't look like a team hoping to compete. They looked like a team expecting to win. And that's where things became dangerous. Because one great performance can be dismissed. One great performance can be called luck. One great performance can be explained away. The real test comes after. The real test is whether you can do it again. And that's exactly what made the next match so important. Because while everyone was celebrating the win over Paraguay, another team was quietly making noise. Australia. They had just beaten Turkey. Their confidence was growing. Their tournament was alive. And suddenly this wasn't about making a statement anymore. It was about proving the statement was real. If America struggled, critics would have their answer. If America lost, the Paraguay performance would become a footnote. A nice moment. Nothing more. But what happened next changed the entire conversation. The United States walked onto the field without one of their biggest stars. Christian Pulisic wasn't starting. For many teams, that's a problem. For contenders, it's a test. And America passed it. Early pressure. Relentless energy. No fear. Then, the breakthrough. The crowd erupted. Australia tried to respond. But every attack was met with resistance. Every hopeful moment was shut down. Then came the second goal. And suddenly you could see it. Not just on the scoreboard. On the faces. The Australian players looked frustrated. The American players looked comfortable, confident, in control, like they knew exactly what they were doing. The match ended 2-0. No drama. No panic. No miracle needed. Just another win. And that's when people started asking a question that seemed ridiculous a week earlier. What if the United States is actually good enough to make a deep run? Because now the evidence was growing. 2 matches, 2 wins, 6 goals scored, only 1 conceded. A place in the knockout stage already secured. And perhaps most importantly, a team that seemed to be getting stronger with every game. But here's where the story gets really interesting. The wins aren't the biggest surprise. The confidence is. For years, American teams often played like underdogs. Careful, cautious, waiting for opportunities. This team feels different. This team creates the pressure instead of absorbing it. This team attacks instead of reacting. And that changes everything. Because World Cups are full of talented teams. What separates contenders from participants is belief. The belief that you belong. The belief that the badge on your shirt matters just as much as everyone else's. The belief that when the knockout rounds arrive, you aren't there to make up the numbers. You're there to win. And right now, that belief is spreading. First through the players, then through the fans. And now through the entire tournament. The problem for everyone else is that confidence can become momentum. And momentum can become something much bigger. We've seen it before. Teams arrive with modest expectations. A few results go their way. The crowd gets behind them. The pressure turns into energy. And suddenly a tournament has a new favorite story. Could that happen here? Maybe. Maybe not, because the hardest matches are still ahead. The biggest tests haven't arrived. The giants are waiting. The pressure will only grow. Every round will become harder. Every mistake will become more expensive. And that's exactly why the next chapter matters so much. Because now America has something it didn't have before. Expectations. Nobody fears failing when nobody expects success. The real pressure begins when people start believing. And after Paraguay, after Australia, people believe. Maybe they're getting carried away. Maybe they're seeing something real. Nobody knows yet. But one thing is certain. The United States entered this World Cup as the host nation. 2 matches later, they're being talked about as something far more dangerous. A contender. And whether this run ends next week or with a trophy held high in front of their home fans, the message has already been sent. The United States is no longer trying to prove they belong. They're trying to prove they can win it all.